All right. Dude, thank you for your patience. Totally
No, not at
apologize.
all.
I'm all yours. I'm all yours.
And how cute is that? And how much do kids blow your mind and surpass everything that you thought it would be, right?
Do you have kids?
Yeah, two,
Oh
12
my
and 10.
God. 12 and 10?
Yeah,
Okay,
both
good
both
for you.
both boys.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. God, I got questions for you. Yeah. Well, so that's Emma. She's 9.
Yeah,
I've known her since she's 4.5. So I've been in her life since she's 4.5. So
sure.
she's mine. But I've never started from the ground up. So we've got a 1-year-old on the couch right now. So that's my first, go around from
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
God. Yeah.
And they always say like, oh, it goes by so fast in the blink of an eye, and blah. You're like, yeah. Have a kid. Holy
Yeah.
shit, man.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
That's
It
insane.
does in one sense it does because you miss, like, those moments when he would just sit there and whatever, coo and whatever. Now he's walking, which is
Yeah.
still adorable. But yeah, oh my God, when you're in the middle of it, forget it.
And you're coming to the destruction phase pretty quick.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, it started. It has started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Awesome, John. Thank you, man, for taking some time here and joining us. When you win, where will you put the Juno Award for the best comedy album of the year?
When I win. Okay. So if I win,
Yeah,
what would I do with that trophy? I might give it to my sister because it's her album company, Howl and Roar. And she put a lot of hard work into it. And she wanted to be nominated for a Juno. Like it's so subjective, of course, especially comedy. So
sure. Yeah,
what does really winning the Juno mean? It doesn't
it,
mean
it's not
anything
only
other than, yeah,
yeah, like that you're popular, but it's not only comedy, but like even music and stuff, like creativity.
totally.
It's
Yeah.
weird to put that on creativity.
Yeah, for the longest time, I was opposed to the Juno Awards. Like, I actually didn't care, and part of me, I always thought that comedy should be the outsider. Like, it shouldn't be nominated for an Academy Award. That should be left for those who take their film very seriously and let comedy be the social commentary. However, I changed my mind about that because, especially in Canada, because it is nice to have a reason to kind of celebrate and hang out with your friends and make comedy something yeah, knowing that it's subjective. It's a good reason to go and have fun and celebrate with fellow comedians. And yeah, hopefully it brings people out to the clubs. And yeah, so I've done a 180 there. So as far as the Juno goes, yeah, if I do win, I'll probably give it to my sister, let her put it on her mantle. Because yeah, I don't really care about the award itself. It'd just be fun to hang out.
Yeah, cool to be recognized too. And what is it do you think, John, about like Canadians and just I guess the mindset? Like there's so many famous Canadian comedians going back to, John Candy and, Dan
Yeah.
Aykroyd and getting into Jim Carrey and Phil Hartman and Rick Moranis and Mike Myers. And what is it about Canadian? Like, what is it about our humor, do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea because yeah, I don't know. Like I've tried to answer that question before. I just don't think I've thought deeply enough about it. But also there's so many funny people everywhere. I mean, I think we're so close to America. So there's funny people in Sweden and Norway and other places, but you know, English, they do speak English, but it's not necessarily their first language and they're not as close to the United States. I just feel like the star system in the United States is so close to Canada. We get their programming, we know what they're looking for. So yeah, I don't know. I think proximity to the United States and the star system there means that Canadians can, do their
Yeah.
thing. Australians come over and make it big. The Brits come over and make it big. So yeah, I don't know if it's got anything to do with Canada or not, or an inferiority complex. I
Yeah.
haven't thought deeply enough about it because there's also Americans who are absolutely hilarious. So
Right.
yeah, I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't know if there's something in the water or what, but yeah, definitely some funny Canadians, but there's funny people everywhere.
Yeah. True, true. And not to be too boastful because it's not Canadian, but over the time when you'd like stack up like SNL against SCTV,
Mm.
uh, I prefer SCTV even though both are funny.
Yeah, well, SUV is an interesting one too because it's very Canadian in that even the production value. Like there's unbelievable production value in some of the things they did, but you could also tell they had to stretch a dollar.
Right.
So, what they could do with very little money was very impressive. Even like the Bob and Doug, what was Canadian Corner and then the Great White North segments, like that was just super cheap, fill 2 minutes for broadcasting.
Right. That's
So
just great writing.
yeah, I guess. Was it improvised?
Or was it improv, do you think? Or maybe a little bit of both, like
I feel like it was a little bit of both, but for the most part, I think it was improvised. I think it was. I had the very fortunate opportunity to meet and have lunch with Dave Thomas when I was living in Los Angeles, a mutual friend of ours. We went out to the Van Nuys airport. We'd watch planes take off, and we ate shitty roast beef sandwiches and Caesar salad. And then that was my first meeting with Dave. Then I coincidentally met him. We were on the same flight back from Toronto to LA once, and I sat next to him, and I just asked him flat out, "Can I just pick your brain about Bob and Doug?" And he's like, "Ask me anything you want." And so we talked for 5 hours
crazy.
about Bob and Doug and back in the day and Strange Brew the movie. And I'm pretty sure he said they were all improvised. Yeah.
Even the movie?
No, not the movie. Movie was so
Yeah.
well scripted. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, holy
No, no,
shit,
no,
they're improv in that. Like, what?
no, no, no. And that's like top five film of all time for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Good. Glad you
So,
agree.
how much of your life is comedy? And like, I don't know if it's necessarily writing things down or constantly in
I thought you were going to say how
surveillance.
much of my life is improvised.
No, do you know what I mean? Like, well, there's a certain amount of surveillance to do what you do, right? And how hard is that to turn
Yeah.
off?
Well, I mean, I turn it off much more now than I ever have. Like when I was just me selfishly wanting to pursue a comedy career.
Sure.
Yeah, I was probably annoying, still am, but not as much so,
Uh,
annoying to everyone I ran into because yeah, I was nothing but trying to find the funny. I still try to do that, but not as frequently. Um, but yeah, I'm always on the lookout. Absolutely. Like if I can think of something or something comes up in conversation, I'll text it to myself or write it in my phone or do a quick voice memo. So I'm always looking for something. But not as much as I used to, It's crazy
yeah.
when the day to
Well,
day takes over.
throw kids into the mix, and you got to take them somewhere to hockey game practice, or you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
once you start getting life into into the equation, boy, it sure changes.
Yeah, and you have to remember to write it down. Like if you think you're going to remember it,
Yeah,
you never will, and then
yeah,
you live with the regret of what was that idea I had.
yeah.
So yeah, even more so now, it's important to write this stuff down for many reasons. But yeah, there was a time in my life where I think I met with a friend who was a stand-up comedian, and we'd meet at a cafe and we'd write almost every single day, throwing ideas back and forth. And every night I'd go up and perform. This is when I was living in Toronto in
Mm,
an apartment, nothing but comedy on my mind. And that was a very important period of development for me, for sure. But yeah, that doesn't exist anymore,
no, no, no,
No.
no. Kiss that goodbye. So, like going back to before, you were a comic, just as a kid. Who were some of the comedians that were making you laugh?
Oh my God. Letterman was huge. My dad used to record Letterman and show it to me, when I was a kid. And then in high school, I just used to stay up and watch it and then sleep in for school or not even bother going.
Yeah,
Letterman was huge. He's the biggest influence for sure. But yeah, Bill Cosby's stand-up album when I was young, not album, sorry, special, Bill Cosby himself, that was hugely influential. But that was before I really knew like you could be a stand-up comedian. I just thought you were or you weren't, like you were born that way,
yeah.
Um,
Do you think, by
so
the way, pause you for a sec? Do you think that everything that went down with Bill, like his is he tarnished? Is his
oh
legacy
yeah. Oh,
completely?
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I would think so. I
He
would hope
still like
so.
it, but that's the thing. Like everybody still cites him as one of the best,
Oh, well, I mean, I
or
can't.
like
I'm
influential.
not saying whether he's. I'm not saying he's the best or not. I'm just saying, I can't take away the fact that when I was, 9 years old, we rented, the Bill Cosby himself stand-up comedy, so it's not
Right.
like that. Yeah, I can't go back and erase that moment. But no, I mean, I'm assuming he rightfully so. His reputation should be tarnished. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah. He's going on tour again.
Well, yeah, right. Like, what? There's
Crazy.
people that want to see that shit.
I mean, it's interesting, man. I don't know. Yeah, the forgiveness level or the not really understand. Yeah, I don't know. It's a bizarre one. It's yeah. I mean, that is a very strange situation. But anyway, not to detour too much from your
Yeah,
original
sorry,
question,
I
but
sidetracked Jimmed you there for a sec, but
no, no problem. But it was like Jim Carrey when I was younger. Like he was, yeah, just someone who made me laugh intensely. But Mr. Show, when I got older, that was the most influential for sure.
oh yeah,
Like the sketch comedy show. Oh my
yeah,
God, yeah.
yeah.
I was, I never, like, I was never in awe of comedy in the way I was when I first saw Mr. Show.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
And
I was a latecomer up getting that up in Canada on the Comedy Network. But
what
when I
was it you
first
think that like grabbed you like that?
they were just so silly and smart, and like they were political in ways, but they disguised it, and they never forgot to be silly. You know, there was rule, they made me realize you can break rules in comedy, like, you know, comedy comes in threes was always, you know, what you'd hear. But with Mr. Show, I felt like it was comedy comes in 11s. Like you could always push
Yeah,
the
yeah.
joke again and again and again, like the Mount Everest thimble collection episode. If you haven't seen that, you got to watch it. But yeah, they were just so thoughtful and funny, and I couldn't see it. I couldn't see the joke coming, you know. Yeah, that was the most influential. Like, it wasn't even a stand-up comedian. It was that show for sure made me
Mhm.
think, oh, you can do whatever you want. You can bring props on stage, you can wear a wig, you can, you know, you can take comedy and flip it on its head. You can be satirical, you can be angry. Yeah, silly for sure. Yeah, that
All
was,
the above, yeah, yeah. And same for like Kids in the Hall is very like that
yeah,
too.
yeah. Kids in the Hall for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
that led me to Mr. Show for sure.
yeah, yeah. And guys like Eddie Murphy in Delirious. Remember, like that could not fly today, right? Like you couldn't. Could you do a set
Hard
like
to,
that today?
could I?
Not you
Like
personally, but like you, the
Eddie
general
Murphy?
sense of the.
Well, no, you can do certain topics that he talks about for sure. Yeah. No, absolutely not. Yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely could not. I mean, you could, but you have to be accountable for it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You can say whatever you want, but the yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Are you surprised that cancel culture is a thing?
Well, some people would argue there's no such thing. Yeah, it's weird, right? Because it's all how you talk about it. South Park's a great example, I think, of how to deal with, you know, topics that seem to be, you know, off the table.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, I wonder if they can get away with it because it's animation.
I don't know. I think, well, yeah, maybe more so. Yeah, possibly. But I think, you know, it's how you talk about something, not what you talk about. So, yeah, but I mean, I think if you're deliberately, blatantly, you know, bigoted, then yeah, it's one thing to have strong opinions about something and handle a topic delicately, but yeah, I don't know. Something about being more accountable, and there's a weird out of context problem with social media too. Like if you don't hear the whole context and you just hear words, and I personally think I don't know how much I truly believe that words matter. I think they do obviously matter, but I think context and intent is really important. I think that's getting lost. People are just hearing things and saying,
Sure.
you can't say that, you can't talk about it. And you know, but it's good to question your identity and say, can I talk about this, or should I be able to talk about this? And then if you're concerned or worried about it, then I think you reevaluate how you're going to talk about it. I don't think you have to stay away from it, but be aware of how you're talking about it. I don't
Hmm.
know. Also,
Does
who
it
the hell am I? I'm just some doofus from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. I know
does it
nothing.
does it make you kind of double take the things that you're going to joke about?
Um, Sometimes, but yeah, but again, it's how you talk about it, right? Like, I think it's fun to kind of push buttons and
Yeah.
yeah, make people think a little bit.
How
I don't
long do you
know.
think it's been like the world's been too PC? Because
I never said that.
no, me personally, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I think that the majority of my
Okay.
friends think that.
Okay.
Do you agree with
Mhm.
that?
That the world's too PC.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Like, what are we speaking the same language? Like, what do you mean by 2PC? Like, what do you feel like you can't say today as a result of political correctness that you could say before?
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would have to think about that, but I guess just in the general sense of the word, like it's just too touchy feely, and the majority are bowing to the 2%, 5% minority. You know what I mean? Like that
I
sort of
don't
stuff.
know. I don't know. I have no problem. I mean, I think it's I don't know. It depends what you're concerned about. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I guess what I'm saying is, like, say, take a movie like Robert Downey Jr.'s Tropical Thunder. We can probably both
Tropic Thunder. Yeah.
Tropic Thunder, rather. Yeah.
Tropical
Uh,
Thunder. Yeah.
I think we can both agree that that's a movie that would be like really hard pressed to make today, even though it was only made in 2008. Question is,
I
what?
think you can still make that movie today. But again,
Really?
it's how you treat it, right?
Well,
Like
they make
you
the
make
exact same style. Like I watched the Robert Downey Jr. He was on the Joe Rogan show,
right.
and he was talking about that, and how they both thought that it might not be able to be made today, just because of how PC the world is.
Well, I
So
don't know. I mean,
that's an example, I guess.
it depends how you look at it, right? Like, so again, so here's in the world we live in today,
Yeah.
I'd imagine two white guys like us having this conversation now. Maybe that's a problem for some people, right?
Right.
I disagree. I think anyone should be able to have a conversation about anything. But again, how are we going to talk about it? So when I think of Tropic Thunder, I think of, how they're illuminating, they, I mean, I'd arguably the Ben Stiller storyline is more problematic than the Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
storyline, because what you're showing is here, rather than hiring, a person of color, a black person to portray the role that Robert Downey Jr. did, Hollywood, you know, elevates and put these people on pedestals and says, you can be this person. Like, you're the star power. We're going to actually you're going to go through this process to turn your skin black to play a person of color. I mean, I think that's more a commentary and story about Hollywood than it is about doing a silly joke. But again, I don't know. Am I making excuses for it? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
I think you could make that movie again today.
Really? Okay. Okay.
But I think Ben Stiller's storyline would be more problematic than the Robert Downey Jr. one.
Well, I think even at that time, it may have been as well. Like, that was one of the things that Robert had said, is like, that kind of deflected and took away from what was happening with my role.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah, which is
Yeah.
very true. So, how much has changed, do you think, in like since you've been pretty much a couple of decades banging away now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How much has
Well,
changed, do you think, in the way that you formulate your game plan? Was it always kind of the same sort of?
oh
You've
God,
always had the
so
same
much.
comic mind.
Oh no, God, no. Everything's changed. Yeah. I mean, when you first start, I mean, I didn't know what a joke was or how to write it really. I just thought getting on stage and make people laugh was everything. But then you realize, oh my God, I'm derivative, I'm boring, I'm telling the same jokes other comics are telling in this, just in a slightly different way. And then you slowly find what they call your voice. And then yeah, I was pretty angry about stand-up comedy for a while. It's like, oh, I hate when people do this, so I'm going to do a joke about comedians who do this. And then you slowly realize, I mean, that's pointless, or it wasn't really in my heart to tell jokes that way anymore. And then I've got kids now and responsibilities, and so I tell stories that are a little closer to home while still trying to maintain, my approach to things. So yeah, of course I change. And then there's, the fragmented media landscape that we live in. When I started doing comedy, it was still get on the radio and promote. It was get an ad in the newspaper.
Mm,
Yeah, and now it's, how many hits can you get? Can you get your own name out there through social media? So yeah, everything about the world of stand-up comedy and how you promote yourself has changed. And then me personally, yeah, I've absolutely changed
okay,
with
so let me ask you this then: what's
yeah.
been the common thread through the whole way?
Okay, interesting. Well, I think it really is just this is going to be boring because what is a joke? it really is surprising the audience. It's still finding a way to make them think I'm going to say one thing and then say something they are not expecting,
Mm,
which sounds boring, because what is a joke other than that? But with me in particular, I really like to make them think one thing. And, I never want to lose this idea of silly. I like trivializing serious topics. That is extremely fun to do. I like playing the fool, which is something I still do and always have. Is I'm the dumb guy who doesn't get it. And I think that lets me get away with a few things.
yeah.
Some reviewers like to point out that I am doing that for particular reasons, when it's just something I really enjoy doing because it's
Mhm.
funny. Mhm.
And what would the think tank or the amount of personnel on a show like Humor Resources? How many people have you got working with that, or is that are you
But
flying
that
solo?
that TV show, you mean? Or
The which?
you're asking about the TV show Humor Resources that we made for
Yeah,
the CPT? Like, how many people were working on
yeah,
that show?
yeah.
Well, we had myself, Adam, Dave, Arthur, Rebecca, Jane, I'll include as well. There were, yeah, so Adam, Dave are directors, but they were writers as well. And then Rebecca Kohler, Jane Churchill, and Arthur Simeon, and myself. So we had, you add up all that, what, 7 writers basically, and we
Wow.
would break down scripts and share ideas. And we would we had a researcher who was hired to pull transcripts of people's acts and social media presence, and so we'd build actual case files. So yeah, we
Wow.
had yeah, a 7-headed hydra, yeah, in the writers room. Then we'd meet via Zoom in 2020, right at the beginning of the pandemic, and yeah, have writing meetings and share ideas back and forth, and then develop a version of a script.
Yeah, because it feels like, when just watching it feels like it's something that's super, super fun to put together.
Yeah, it was fun to put together. It was hard and challenging though. Like, it was, it was in the middle of a pandemic. We had fully isolated. So, we had crews in, like, a very small camera operator crew in Los Angeles, New York, and St. Louis for Nikki Glazer, and then Toronto and Vancouver. And that's where all the interviews were taking place, in people's homes. So we'd have to scout the location the day before, make sure their wireless signal was fine, if not, get a booster. And all social distancing, and camera operators had to be tested before they're going in. And then I live in Juneau, Alaska, and that's where we shot my side of everything and those storylines. And we had a crew of 3 people. It was myself and 3 other people. So, like,
Mm.
super challenging to make, but incredibly fun. Yeah, when you
I
discover.
guess maybe that's what I was thinking, like, was I was wondering, I mean, it's cool to hear, like, the actual grandiose picture, but I was kind of like, on your end, so you had 3 people that were creating the stuff for on your side.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. Like, it was wild. Like,
Amazing.
I was out shopping and location scouting, and then yeah, just simplifying and stripping down everything. My daughter was in the show out of necessity, and also because she's brilliant and funny, and I'd shot stuff with her before. My
Yeah,
girlfriend was in the show out of necessity because we
yeah.
live together. We're in the same bubble. She was great. We had one of the characters was the guy who I became friends with, who works at a drive-through. So he was just on a speaker, and
Nice.
yeah, he was actor from Toronto, and his voice was coming in through a laptop in the car. Yeah, I mean, it was wild. It was crazy. We had one guy rigging cameras to cars. His name's Gabe, wonderful human being, and he was yeah, lighting and shooting. Yeah, it was bonkers. It was crazy. I wish people knew what went into the show, although it sounds like an excuse. Like, you'd love the show more if you knew what went into it, but I really do wish we had some sort of documentary.
Yeah, right? I mean, after you do those kind of things, you're like, "Oh, I wish there was a film of the camera crew following us around just the last couple, 2, 3 months," like,
It was crazy. And even, like, the directors, like, they're in different time zones and they're directing, but they've got family and responsibilities, and they're living in their bubbles, and they're instructing me in an earpiece, or sometimes just a phone in my pocket. They're talking to me through on one Zoom call, and then there's another Zoom call set up for I mean, it was bonkers, but
wow.
fun to do. Yeah.
What do you think makes a great writer?
Oh, fuck, I have no idea. I don't know. You'd have to ask a great writer.
You don't have any favorites?
A great writer?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't write that much.
Oh,
I write, I get excited about things that I'm going to be in because I'm going to be saying them. So let me think here. What would make a great writer? I don't know. I'm not the right person to answer that question.
Right.
Yeah.
What have you been binge watching lately?
What have I just watched The Watcher. A little
Okay.
late to that one.
Yeah.
It was good, but then I thought it was a very disappointing ending. Um, what else have I been binge watching? My 9-year-old Emma, the only show that we watch together
Yeah.
where we can actually sit there quietly and turn to each other and go, "Did you see that? That was great," is The Mandalorian. Um, but season 3, episode 1 was terrible.
I haven't
Did
seen
you
it yet,
watch it? Oh my
but
God. Watch it. I'm curious to know what you think. It's
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
we're just on the pause right now because we're like, okay, we're ripping through some of the Flash. We just finished Wednesday, which was great. But yeah, we want to give
Wednesday.
it like,
Oh yeah. Wednesday. That's right. I haven't
yeah,
watched it, but yeah, Emma loves it. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, we want to give it like a good 2, 3, 4 episodes before we dive back into the Mandalorian, just to give it some,
Smart.
some
Smart. Yeah.
bingeability, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the stuff that kind of pulls you into a rabbit hole? Like,
Oh my God. Give
you know,
me
is it
any like
aliens, conspiracy
no,
theories,
no, never. No, 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 no. No, anything. I've shed
fails,
all. What's that?
fails? You ever
Which one?
watch those fails where people are like, wiping
Oh,
out fails
fails,
and stuff?
fails. I think I said veils. Fails. Yeah, it fails to a degree, but that's like you watch one or two, and I've had
Yeah,
my fill. I don't like seeing bones break or ankles twist, so it depends,
yeah,
on the fail. No, what pulls me in would be, I mean, anything Ken Burns related. Like, give me old documentaries about war, great. But yeah, what rabbit hole would I go down? It's basically, you know what? I am so, this is pathetic. I will rewatch and watch like 10-minute highlight packs of old Chicago Bulls basketball games. And I will go over and over again. I mean, like, Michael regular season, Michael Jordan. My search engine is insane. Like, it'll be Michael Jordan regular season, Miami Heat, Chicago Bulls, 1992.
yeah.
Like, that'll be a search I put in, and then I will watch those over and over again. I don't know what, it's satisfying in a way. Like, it's like a song or something that I really like, a story that I go back to.
Yeah,
The way
comfort
he played.
sports.
It's comfort sports. Yeah. Do you ever do that with sports? Are you
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
oh my
Did you watch the? I can't remember what it was called on Netflix, where it was
Oh, of course.
the
Yeah,
Bulls
watch
and
it.
all that. No, how good was that?
The Last Dance. Yeah, it was I've watched that probably 3 or 4 times. Another go-to. Yeah.
It's just
Oh, it's
insane.
great.
Like, I like to watch it for a couple of reasons. Obviously, just as a fan of the sport, but also because of a fan of broadcasting and putting
Yeah.
together shows like that, and
Yeah.
how are they transitioning. And that's
Yeah.
cool that they overlaid that voiceover over top of that B-roll and that sort
Yeah.
of stuff. Like, I also like the production side of things.
Oh, it's great. Absolutely. You start with Jordan, episode 2, Pippen, episode 3, Rodman, and then you get into
Right.
Kukoc and Kerr. And yeah, so you get those stories, but then you get, high school, and then you get 1990, what, how they go back and forth. And yeah, it was
Yeah.
so great. Yeah. And a lot of
So
that footage. It's kind of fun too. If you watch The Last Dance and you remember they'll show in I don't know if it's whatever green room or some room in the back of the United Center where Jordan would be gambling with the security guards.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. If you go back and watch old footage, you will see those people. They're so noticeable now. You
Right.
will see those people as he's leaving the court surround him as he walks off. I don't know. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
such a nerd. I'm
And
such a Michael Jordan nerd.
and Michael walks away with $1,000 of their money, and so awesome.
Yeah.
Such a great documentary. So what is basketball your sport, or is it hockey? Like,
No, no, basketball. I love hockey, but basketball is definitely the sport. Yeah, yeah. I'm a Steph Curry nut, so I'm all Golden State Warriors.
yeah, do you go to many
Yeah.
games?
No, I mean I've seen LA I've seen them play the Clippers twice when I was in LA, but I've never seen a game in Oakland or now San Francisco. But yeah, basketball played in high school and the city team. I mean, that was the dream. I was a gym rat for, you know, eighth, ninth, 10th grade. Like, that's all I did every day, basketball.
Mm, mm.
Mhm.
And how about the music side of John? Like, what were your parents playing as a kid? Like, what were you
Very interesting.
growing up around?
Very interesting questions. Started playing piano for a couple years when I was very young. Whatever. That was the introduction. So you learn a little bit of theory, then played saxophone in again, middle school and then the first little bit of high school, and then got into guitar. So now I just play shitty acoustic guitar, but love it. And we have a piano at our house. So yeah, kind of reteaching myself. Oh, I'm basically just transcribing guitar chords onto the piano and having
Yeah,
fun with that. So, yeah.
yeah. Which were the first bands to kind of grab a hold of you?
I'm Tragically Hip fan all the way. Yeah,
Tragically
always
Hip.
have
Yeah,
been. Like a nut, like an absolute devoted nut. Huge Gord Downie fan. Love the
yeah.
Hip. Yeah, recently like getting into the Replacements is a band
Oh
that
yeah.
I've recently kind of gotten into and can't believe I didn't get into them more so back in the day.
Mm.
How about you?
Like what do I like?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Well,
back in the day, what started you down that road?
yeah, I mean, I guess back in the day would have been Eagles, Bob Seger.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
some comfort rock.
so yeah, definitely like get a little bit of country stuff like Waylon Jennings and Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers,
Very good. Steve
uh,
Earle. You
Steve
getting
Earle.
into
Sure,
Steve
yeah,
Earle?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, God, jeez. Those
Then
that's the soundtrack of my youth is being in the backseat of the car and my parents playing Kenny Rogers and George Jones and Willie Nelson and Waylon
right
Jennings and Steve
on
Earle. Yeah.
on the eight
Oh,
track in the car, like the gonna shove
no,
the
we
eight.
never had an 8-track. We were always tape. Yeah.
Oh,
We were
nice.
cassette. We were cassette. Yeah.
Yeah, that's big time.
Just missed it. Yeah.
What was your first concert?
Oh my God. Probably the Hip. It would have been a couple great ones in high school, but yeah, I saw the Hit many times in high school. But that'd be the first like big concert I went to would have been, yeah, Tragically Hip at the Civic Center in Ottawa. I also saw, who did I see at the Civic Center the next year? I think I saw Lenny Kravitz open for the Cult. That was a good one.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah.
another good show, yeah. I mean, and the Tragically Hip though, like just so good, always so good.
Oh, they care so much every time. It's a huge show. Yeah, go see roadside attraction tours in Ottawa,
Yeah,
out at the Speedway, so to speak. And yeah, that was yeah, the Hip were always yeah, always my favorite. Got to see three of their last shows. I went to
really.
Victoria,
Oh,
Toronto, and then the final one in Kingston. Yeah, yeah,
oh man, those are emotional shows. Like
they
to,
were all very different shows too. That Victoria's show, little, not quite steady on his feet, but in a way, so like that was the first show that kicked it off, but in a way, still so amazing because it was, everyone kind of sang with him and cheered, like, oh God, it was really special. Then Toronto, it was like, oh my God, he's back. Like they're not going anywhere. They're gonna be around for another 50 years,
mm,
and then that final Kingston show was just like this crazy, yeah, celebrate. Yeah, it was
yeah,
so
pretty
glad
awesome.
I went
I,
to those shows.
I don't know if you saw this thing floating around on Facebook or Instagram or something a couple weeks back, but it was like, first show that you saw, show you're happy you saw, wish you'd seen this show kind of thing. And I'm happy that I got to see Tragically Hip. Like
Nice. Yeah.
straight up love that band, right?
Yeah. It was the best.
Yeah, little place in Vancouver, Richards on Richards. Saw them there.
Okay.
Seen them at the Commodore Ballroom. Like
Yeah.
fabulous band, man.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, they're the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get into comic books as a kid?
No, no, never got into comic books. Had friends who did, so I'd go spend paper route money a couple of times, but never got into it. No.
Hmm. Okay,
You?
John, I'm going to wrap it up in a couple questions. I respect your time here. Thank you again for jumping on
All
with
good.
us.
All good. If
Um,
it's boring, tell me and I'll
no,
change
not at
it.
all, man. Not at all. I just want to respect your time. That's all. Um, so it's not necessarily a question, more of a story. And I'm hoping you have one. Maybe you don't.
Hmm.
Do you have a near death story where you're like, holy crap, I could have just died?
Yeah. Yeah, I got a couple. Not sure what you're looking for here, but like, so I've jumped out of an airplane.
Okay.
That's not near death because everything
Yeah.
went well, and I assumed it would. But
You
near
went
death,
willingly.
yeah, I went willingly out of an airplane with a chute. Um, Not tandem though. I was, jumped out on my own. That's the way they did
Yeah,
it in Ontario.
same. Did it like that,
Oh, you did it?
on the
Yeah.
island, yeah. It was a
Oh,
radio
great.
stunt. I was doing a morning show, in Victoria,
Right, right,
and, I was teamed up with my ex-fiancée from years gone by.
right,
So when I got there, they were like, "Hey, is it cool if we put you together as like a battle of the exes, and
right,
we'll do a whole bunch of crazy stuff like skydiving, whitewater rafting, cave spelunking, and all this stuff, right?"
right,
And so you call up and go like, "Hey, I want to be on Todd's team." Okay, cool. Bring a friend, and they'll be on Tiff's team. So
right.
we took this 50 people, and all went skydiving one day, and the same thing. You had
Right.
to hang on to
Yeah, yeah,
the strut of the, or whatever it's called, on the wing of the plane, and like you
yeah,
let go yourself, man.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And they tap, well, the way we did it, they tap you on the back.
yeah,
Well, you look back at them, they point forward, and when you look out of the airplane, and then they tap you on the back, and then you arch your back, and your pelvis is supposed to be your center of gravity. So that's supposed to be, you know, out, and the wind hits it, and you stay straight in the air, and then you check your lines. Oh my God, it was crazy.
yeah.
We watched the videotape back, and the third guy we went with, this guy Mike. I exited. They're like, "Great textbook." My friend Rennie exits. They're like, "Great textbook." My friend Mike just falls out of the airplane and rolls. Like, you're lucky to be alive, my friend. Well, so I once flew from Los Angeles to Australia for a show, and should I tell this story? There's a couple of near death. I had a seizure. So that's, I mean, I don't know how fun either of these stories are, to be honest with you. Playing poker with a bunch of friends, Fallon had a seizure. That was near death in that, fractured a bone in my neck. I don't know if I have a good, I mean, I've been in car accidents in high school. Like, I was in 4 car accidents in high school. Totally fine,
Right.
but like, I remember one, the guy driving, wet day, we're driving down in the right-hand lane, and a car pulled out of a strip mall, and we had to go into the left lane, but there was a car almost right next to us. So he sped up and to go into the left lane, lost control. I don't know what it's called, going back and forth like that. Sort of, yeah, fishtailing, I guess.
Fish Island,
But
sure, yeah.
yeah, fishtailing all over. And then we just spun, and the car knocked over a fire hydrant and landed, hit a fence, and then landed right against the telephone pole and boomeranged the car right in the middle. So everyone was fine except
Sure.
the cops. Like, it was his dad's Acura too. And yeah, I remember that one being weird because we got out, and the cops interviewed us individually. And I remember saying, yeah, I was sitting back seat left. And then the cop says, so you were sitting on Bulu's lap. It's my friend Bulu. I go, no, what are you talking about? He goes, well, he said he was backseat left. I'm like, no, I was backseat left. Somehow both of us think we were sitting backseat left. Like, that's how traumatizing and weird the experience was. We couldn't figure out where we were sitting. I have a bunch of others, but like, to be honest with you, they're a little too sad. Like, there's drugs
Fair enough.
involved. There's drugs involved and no memory. They've been retold to me by other people. So waking up in hotel rooms in another country
Yeah, yeah,
and not knowing where 15 hours of my life went or how I got there.
yeah.
So
Secondhand
it was
stories. I think this is what happened. I'm pretty sure, well, I was told that was what
it was like
happened.
Memento. I had to go to the front desk and say, "Were you here when I checked in yesterday?" Like, "Oh yeah, you slept in the restaurant for half an hour." I go, "The restaurant?" Like, "Don't worry, no one was in it." So yeah,
Oh,
that type of thing. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, John, hit us with, or is it possible, one career highlight?
One career highlight? Oh God, I feel very lucky. Like, I feel like I have several.
That's
Um,
what I mean, right? Like, how hard is that to pick, like, the one?
yeah, well, I can't pick one, but I just feel, yeah. I mean, you know what? Strangely, there's a lot. I can't really narrow it down, but like, strangely, I feel like doing the Canadian Idol television show
Yeah,
was a highlight because I was living in Ottawa at the time. I was working on daytime. I was doing Rogers Community Cable daytime show. I was hosting that show for 3 years, making zero money, working in restaurants to subsidize my income. And I remember auditioning, traveling to Toronto 3 or 4 times to audition to get this role, editing a demo tape together, everything they teach you in TV broadcasting school, and really wanting it so badly. And then the second I got a phone call saying, can you be in Winnipeg for week 1 of Canadian Idol? They've selected you to be the correspondent for the show. I remember instantly it let me move to Toronto. It let me get out of, financial dire straits and a tax problem. And it started a relationship with the production company, which in turn I did the Jon Dore television show for. So, and I also had a blast doing that television show. So strangely, that would be the one. I remember being filled with so much excitement and gratitude when I got that call. So yeah, that would be it.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've had an awesome career, and I mean, you've got so many more years in you, and you're just a funny guy. And I was super excited when your PR person reached out, and I was like, "Are you kidding me, man? A chance to talk
Dude.
to Jon Dore,
Oh,
man."
Todd, no, this has been great. Thank you for, yeah, your questions are thoughtful and fun. And yeah, I could
Yeah,
talk forever. So
right
yeah.
on. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, but yeah, man, I'll let you fly, get back to your family. I'm going to do the same with mine, and
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
thank you again for jumping on the Toddcast here in Vancouver. Good luck with the Junos, man. I know I was kidding off the top, but I would
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
to see you win it. I like your work a lot.
Oh, thanks, man. Dude. Yeah. Well, let's chat again sometime.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I'll drop you a line, after the Junos if there's a win and your prediction is true.
sounds good. You are easy to find online. It's TV's Jon Dore on both Twitter, Instagram, and of course, easy to find on Facebook as well.
Not on Facebook, but yes, Twitter and Instagram. So perfect.
You don't even have like a fans page on Facebook? Like,
I haven't been on Facebook in, I don't know, 10 years. Yeah.
somebody might have a fans page and like throwing you love. I think I've seen something, but maybe I'm wrong.
Good
Anyway,
for them. I got too much going on. But all right, Todd, thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
right on. Take care, John. Thank you.
Everybody, take care. Thanks. Let me know when it airs.